All right, in this video, I want to share something which keeps on coming back again and again in my conversations with my prospective clients and even my current clients, which is what should we expect from your lead generation campaign? What should we expect as results from your outbound prospecting campaign? And so I thought I should make a video about this and just mention everything the way that I think about how an outbound prospecting or lead generation campaign works, especially in outbound sales form. And I thought I'll share this with you guys because if you are trying to implement outbound anyway, this would be really, I think this will be a really great resource for you. So, giving attribution where it's due, I got this statistic from Mary Lou Taylor's book, Tyler, I'm sorry, ma'am, if I mispronounce your name, Mary Lou Tyler's book, Predictable Prospecting, which states that in any given market, if you're talking to 100 customers a day, this is how a prospecting cycle per 100 customer will go. So let's say you're talking to 100 customers. Let's say you're doing cold calling, for example. It's another form of outbound sales. So let's say you're cold calling and calling on 100 customers a day. This is how the market will play out in the end. So 30 people will know for sure they never want your product. No matter what it is that you offer, they're never going to buy it. It doesn't matter to them. You're out of their range. They'll never buy from you. So let's go on to the next 30 people. If you call on the phone, they don't have a need actually. They're really satisfied with their current vendor. They are doing really good in business. So they don't have a need. So it's not worth trying to convince them to buy something which they don't want. Bad strategy. Now let's move on to the next 30 people who aren't sure how relevant your product is to them. Now, these people might have a little bit of need here and there, but they're not sure what your company is about, what your product is about. So they aren't sure how relevant your product is for them. So we've talked to 90 people so far, and now let's go on to the leftover 10 people, out of which the seven are open and a little interested in what you have to offer. Now, this gets interesting because these seven people will actually have a conversation with you and will show a little bit of interest, like, hey, I'm interested in what we have to offer. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, about your company, your prices, and how it all works. So these are the seven conversations that you're going to have. Now, this leaves us with three people, three prospects who are actively looking for a solution or ready to buy. So let's say you're wrapping up your day, you're getting done with your work, you've made 97 calls so far, you're left with three. Now you're calling all these three people and you talk to them and they're actually looking for a solution and are ready to buy at this moment in time, which is really interesting because this is actually how the market plays out in the end. So to think about it, this is how it goes when it comes to LinkedIn prospecting. So let's say you're sending connection requests every month. We are taking per month metric just to show you a clear idea of how it goes. So let's say you're sending 50 connection requests a day. So 50 multiplied by 30, which is if you're sending 50 consistently per day, which shouldn't land you in any trouble because it's a pretty safe number. 50 is the average number, and it's a safe number that you can send on LinkedIn as connection invites. So that totals to about 1,500 connection invites sent per month. Now let's say the a good acceptance rate, a fair acceptance rate is about 20%. So let's say out of those 1,500 connection requests that you've sent, your 20% of those connection requests get accepted, which is 300 connections per month, which is nice, which is really good number. If your profile is optimized, if your messaging is optimized, if your headline is optimized, you'll convert at 20% guarantee. So after we get done with that, let's say 90 people. Now this is where it gets interesting. So let's take an example of per 100 customers prospecting cycle. This is what I'm talking about. So let's say you've got 300 connections per month, 300 very targeted connections per month in your as connections in your LinkedIn profile. Now it's like if you've got 100 customers, this is like the same thing, 100 into 3. If you're taking this as a prospecting cycle, it means just into 3 everything that I'm going to talk about later on. I'll explain in a minute what that means. So 300 connections per month, you've got this. So out of that, let's say, as we have read the statistic here, that 30 people aren't sure how relevant your product is for them, but they are willing to have a conversation. So let's say we have added 100, 300, 300 customers, 300 very specific and targeted customers in a market. And taking the same example of the prospecting cycle per 100 customer, that means that we have around 90 people who will respond to your messages and will have a conversation, which is basically 3 into 30, if you think about it. Because we have 300 connections in our LinkedIn profile, and this is prospecting cycle per 100 customer. This is very basic math. I'm sure you got it. So that's how it will come down to 90 people will respond to your messages and have a conversation. Excuse me. So again, now let's talk about how many people will be open and interested in what you have to offer, right? So again, this is 3 into 7, which is 21. These are the people who will be interested in what you have to offer. So if you're talking to these people, they will show a little bit of interest and they'll be very interested in what you have to offer. Now, this is where it gets differentiated. This is the basic market prospecting cycle that I've taken. But if you're talking to these 21 people, let's say you're talking to them on LinkedIn, you're going back and forth in messages, and now it's time to book a meeting. So, since these people are interested, even if you get a 40% meeting close rate, for example, you ask them for a meeting, hey, would you be interested in exploring more? Would you be interested in talking more about this? So, you should get about a 40%. In fact, this should be higher, but taking very conservative numbers, it should be around 40%. So now you're getting like 9 meetings approx. If you just take, I'm sorry, 21 into 40%, that should approximately be around 9 meetings per month. I'm not talking about closing. If your closing rate is about one, you close one out of every four prospects you talk to, that will get you around like 2 to 3 clients a month, which is really great. So this is how I think about outbound prospecting. So these are the facts when it comes down to outbound prospecting. This is how our prospecting cycle per 100 customers work. So if you're thinking of implementing outbound prospecting or LinkedIn lead generation, please remember these numbers, because a lot of time what happens with outbound prospecting is there's a lot of rejection involved in this. And it's really, really hard to stay consistent and keep coming back every day and grinding it out, reaching out to people, even though there's a lot of rejection in the face of it. So another benefit of making this video is to get you to think about rejection in perspective. Because when you're doing outbound, nobody's expecting your call. Nobody has any incentive to answer your message. Why should they? You're reaching to them cold. So you have to keep that in mind, and this is how the prospecting numbers work out in case of LinkedIn lead generation. And I hope this you find this video valuable.